You know what's absolutely insane? In San Francisco, $150,000 might get you a parking space. Maybe, if the seller is feeling generous. In Manhattan, that's a down payment on a studio apartment the size of a walk-in closet. But in the Midwest, $150,000 can buy you an actual mansion. Not a nice house. A mansion. 4,000 square feet. 5 bedrooms. Original hardwood floors. A library with built-in bookshelves. A turret. Maybe a ballroom. I'm not exaggerating. These places exist. Right now. And they're gorgeous. Victorian homes with stained glass windows. Colonial revivals with wraparound porches. Craftsman beauties with intricate woodwork that would cost $500,000 just to replicate. The catch? You have to live in the Midwest, in a small town, where winter is 6 months long and the biggest restaurant is an Applebee's. But if you can handle that, you can live like an actual oil baron from the 1920s for the price of a used Honda Civic. So today we're going through 14 Midwest small towns where you can buy a legitimate mansion for around $150,000. Because someone needs to document the fact that housing affordability still exists. If you're willing to live somewhere nobody on the coast has heard of. Let's get into it. Here's why these places exist and why nobody talks about them. The Midwest used to be wealthy, like genuinely wealthy. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, cities like Fort Wayne, Peoria, and Canton were industrial powerhouses. Factory owners, railroad executives, and business magnates built massive homes to show off their wealth. Then deindustrialization happened. Factories closed, jobs left, populations declined, and all those massive homes were suddenly in cities with way fewer people and way less money. The mansions stayed, the wealth didn't. So now you've got these incredible historic homes in towns, where the median income is $40,000 a year. Nobody locally can afford to maintain them. Nobody from the coast wants to move there. And the result is that you can buy a 4,000 square foot Victorian mansion for what a studio apartment costs in Brooklyn. The homes are real. The price is real. But there are trade-offs. These aren't vacation destinations. They're working class towns that peaked 100 years ago. The job market is limited. Entertainment options are basically non-existent. And if you need culture or nightlife or diverse food options, you're going to be disappointed. But if you're remote work enabled, if you're retired, if you're okay with small town Midwest life, you can live in a house that would cost $2 million in a different zip code. And that's kind of remarkable. Number 14, Kenosha, Wisconsin. Starting with the Wisconsin city between Milwaukee and Chicago that nobody remembers exists. You can find mansions in Kenosha for $130,000 to $160,000. We're talking 3,000 plus square feet. Lake Michigan views in some cases. Historic homes with character that you absolutely cannot get in new construction. Kenosha is close enough to Chicago and Milwaukee that you're not totally isolated. There's some job market, some culture, and you've got the lake which is beautiful in the 3 months it's not frozen. The downside is it's still Kenosha, not Chicago, not Milwaukee, and Wisconsin winter is brutal. But if you want mansion living with some proximity to actual cities, Kenosha works. Kenosha is where you get mansion vibes with Midwest prices and Chicago as a day trip. Number 13, Quincy, Illinois. Quincy is on the Mississippi River and has some legitimately stunning historic homes. Mansions here go for $120,000 to $160,000. Victorian homes with turrets, river views, original details that would cost a fortune to recreate. Quincy had money in the 1800s and the houses prove it. The town has about 40,000 people. There's a college, some local industry. It's not economically dead, but it's not booming either. Very Midwest traditional. The downside is isolation. You're 2.5 hours from St. Louis, from Chicago, and there's not much happening locally. But the houses are gorgeous and cheap. Quincy is where river views and mansions meet absolute isolation. Number 12, Lafayette, Indiana. Lafayette has Purdue University right next door, which provides some economic stability. You can find mansions for $130,000 to $170,000. Big historic homes, some near the university, some in historic neighborhoods that still have that old money feel. Lafayette benefits from Purdue's presence. There's some job market. Some culture from the university. It's not a dying town. It's functional. The downside is it's still Indiana. Cold winters. Limited excitement. But if you want mansion living with some economic security from the university, Lafayette works. Lafayette is where college towns meet affordable grandeur. Number 11, Evansville, Indiana. Evansville is southern Indiana on the Ohio River and has a surprising number of affordable mansions. Prices range from $110 to $160 for 3,000 plus square feet. River views. Historic districts. Homes that were built when Evansville was a river port and manufacturing hub. Evansville has about 120,000 people, so it's not tiny. There's some job market, some services, more than small towns. The downside is it's still southern Indiana. Hot, humid summers, limited culture, but for Midwest standards, it's decent. Evansville is where you get southern Indiana charm with mansion prices. Number 10, Rockford, Illinois. Rockford is the northern Illinois city that Chicago forgot about. Mansions here run $120 to $170. Lots of historic homes from when Rockford was a furniture manufacturing center. Big houses, great bones, cheap prices. Rockford has about 150,000 people. It's seen better days economically, but it's functional. Some job market, closer to Chicago than you'd think. The downside is Rockford has struggled. Crime in some areas, economic decline. You need to pick the right neighborhood. But the mansions are there and they're cheap. Rockford is where decline meets affordable grandeur. Number 9, Davenport, Iowa. Davenport is part of the Quad Cities on the Mississippi and is great housing stock. You can get mansions for $130 to $170. River views. Historic districts. Homes from when the Quad Cities were booming. Davenport has about 100,000 people. It's functional. Some job market. Part of a larger metro area, so you're not totally isolated. The downside is it's still Iowa. Cold. Flat. Limited excitement. But the houses are beautiful and affordable, and you're in a real city. Davenport is where the Mississippi meets Midwest mansion living. Number 8, Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Cedar Rapids is Iowa's second biggest city and has excellent affordable housing. Mansions here are $140 to $180. Historic neighborhoods. Big homes. Good bones. Cedar Rapids actually has a decent economy and job market by Midwest standards. The city is functional. Clean. Safe. Schools are decent. It's not exciting, but it works. And the cost of living is incredibly low. The downside is it's Iowa. Cold winters. Limited culture. But if you want stability and a mansion for cheap, Cedar Rapids delivers. Cedar Rapids is where Iowa nice meets mansion affordability. Number 7, Muncie, Indiana. Muncie is the small Indiana city that sociologists studied as Middletown, and you can see why. Mansions here are $110 to $150. Ball State University is there, which helps. Historic homes from when Muncie had manufacturing wealth. The town is about 70,000 people. Ball State provides economic base. It's not booming, but it's not dead. The downside is it's very small town Indiana. Limited job market outside the university. Entertainment is limited, but the houses are gorgeous and dirt cheap. Muncie is where small town America meets ridiculous housing value. Number 6, Terre Haute, Indiana. Terre Haute is western Indiana and has some of the cheapest mansion prices on this list. You can find mansions for $100 to $140. Seriously, 4,000 square foot homes with original details for under $120 in some cases. Terre Haute has about 60,000 people. It's got Indiana State University. Some rough areas, but also nice historic neighborhoods with incredible homes. The downside is Terre Haute has struggled economically and has some crime issues. You need to pick carefully, but the value is insane if you find the right property. Terre Haute is where cheap meets potential if you're strategic. Number 5, Peoria, Illinois. Peoria is the central Illinois city that used to be shorthand for average America. Mansions here range from $120 to $170. Beautiful historic homes from when Peoria was a caterpillar town with serious money. River views. Historic districts. Peoria has about 113,000 people. Still has caterpillar presence. Some job market, more than small towns. The downside is Peoria has declined and some areas have issues. But the historic neighborhoods still have incredible homes at prices that make no sense. Peoria is where Heartland America meets mansion living. Number 4. Canton, Ohio. Canton is where the Pro Football Hall of Fame is and also where you can buy a mansion for nothing. Prices range from $100 to $150 for legitimate mansions. Historic homes from when Canton was a steel town. Big houses with character you can't find new. Canton has about 70,000 people. The Football Hall of Fame brings some tourism, but economically it's struggled since steel left. The downside is Canton is rough in parts. You need to pick neighborhoods carefully. But the mansions in the good areas are stunning and cheap. Canton is where football history meets housing opportunity. Number 3. Springfield, Ohio. Springfield is the Ohio city that's been in the news lately and has incredibly cheap mansions. You can buy mansions here for $90 to $140. I'm talking 4,000 square foot Victorian beauties for under $120. Historic districts, with homes that would be $2 million in different markets. Springfield has about 60,000 people. It's struggled economically. There are challenges, but the housing stock is incredible. The downside is Springfield has had significant issues and has been politically controversial. But purely from a housing value perspective, it's remarkable. Springfield is where controversy meets unbeatable housing prices. Number 2. Dubuque, Iowa. Dubuque is the Mississippi River town with bluffs and stunning homes. Mansions here run $130 to $180. Victorian beauties, river views, historic neighborhoods that have maintained character. Dubuque is actually pretty and has geography unlike flat Midwest towns. The town has about 60,000 people. The river brings some tourism. It's charming by Midwest standards, safe, functional. The downside is it's isolated and cold as hell. But if you can handle that, Dubuque is one of the better places on this list with actual beauty to go with the mansion prices. Dubuque is where bluffs meet Victorian mansions meet affordability. Number 1. Fort Wayne, Indiana. At number 1, the best combination of mansion affordability and actual livability, we have Fort Wayne. You can find mansions in Fort Wayne for $130 to $180. Beautiful historic neighborhoods, homes with original details, and unlike some places on this list, Fort Wayne is actually functional. The city has about 270,000 people. It has jobs. It has services. It's safe. Schools are decent. It's not exciting, but it works. And you can live in a 4,000 square foot home for what a condo costs in Denver. Fort Wayne is Midwest boring. There's no nightlife, no culture scene. It's very traditional, but it's stable, affordable, and the mansions are real. Fort Wayne is where boring meets livable meets mansion affordability at its finest. So what does all this actually mean? First, these homes are real. I'm not talking about fixer-uppers in war zones. These are legitimate historic mansions in neighborhoods that are safe and functional. The prices are genuinely this low. Second, the trade-off is living in the Midwest and small towns. If you need career opportunities in your specific field, these places might not work. If you need culture, nightlife, diverse food options, you'll be disappointed. If you hate cold weather and flat landscapes, you'll be miserable. Third, if you're remote work enabled or retired or just don't need big city amenities, this is the best housing value in America. You can live in a house that would cost millions in different markets for the price of a down payment in expensive cities. Fourth, property taxes vary but are generally manageable. Cost of living is incredibly low. Your money goes further. That mansion might cost $150, but your total monthly expenses could be lower than rent in a coastal city. And fifth, you need to pick the right town and right neighborhood. Some of these places have rough areas. Some are economically struggling. But the good neighborhoods in the functional towns offer remarkable value. So there you have it. 14 Midwest small towns where you can buy an actual mansion for around $150,000. This isn't a scam. This isn't clickbait. These houses exist. The prices are real. And if you're willing to live in places that aren't trendy or exciting or even well known, you can afford housing that would be impossible anywhere else. The question is whether you can handle the trade-off. Small town Midwest life isn't for everyone. The winters are brutal. Entertainment is limited. Job markets are constrained. And if you're used to city amenities, you'll feel the absence. But if you're remote, if you're retired, if you value space and affordability and don't need constant stimulation, these places offer something genuinely remarkable. You can own a piece of American history, a mansion built when these towns were wealthy, for less than the cost of a new car. Fort Wayne, Dubuque, Canton, and the other towns on this list aren't vacation destinations. They're working-class towns in flyover country, but they've got housing stock that's beautiful, affordable, and available. So here's my question for you. If you could work remotely and live anywhere, would you choose a mansion in Fort Wayne for $150 or a condo in Denver for $500? Where does lifestyle value overtake location value? Let me know in the comments, because this is one of the most interesting housing value propositions in America, and almost nobody talks about it. And if you enjoyed this tour of affordable Midwest grandeur, maybe subscribe. We cover housing, markets that don't make sense, economic opportunities people ignore, and the places where value still exists. Someone has to remind people that mansions don't have to cost millions. Might as well be me.